I thought the left tackle position held up a lot better than it did a week before, and I was surprised that most of it was done by Jerron Christian. I thought Donald Penn would have maybe shared more reps early on. I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, he came on later, and yeah, I thought Jerron did well. He held up well. It's kind of a weird kind of situation there. From my perspective, I think they would like to allow Christian, another year to develop if Donald Penn could win that job, but he hasn't. He hasn't kind of stepped up and grabbed it, and he came in last night and got beat on a play that got Dwayne kind of crushed from behind, from the blind side. So yeah, good night for Jerron. It was very positive to see him have a day like that, considering how rough they've looked at times, not only in practices but in that first game. The couple other guys that you just mentioned, yeah, Sims, he just keeps making plays. I don't know. It's funny. He just keeps making plays. I'm sitting here as we speak working on an updated 53-man roster, and I just don't know where he can make it. But, man, he's putting out good tape, both in special teams and he's just a quick guy. He just seems to – you always see him. I just don't know where he can make this particular roster.
Well, practice squad. I think he's an obvious practice squad candidate, right?
Oh, for sure. No question about it. You would like to have a guy with his kind of athleticism to be able to kind of stash him. Robert Davis just keeps making plays. He's going to make it real tough on a decision maker because Paul Richardson, Josh Doxson, Terry McLaurin, Trey Quinn, Calvin Harmon, Cam Sims, they're all making it. That's 6 guys right there. So do you keep 7? That's a lot of receivers. That's not traditionally what they keep. But he's probably made as many plays, if not more, than anybody else, particularly in games. I think Cam Sims has had a great camp in practice, but it hasn't necessarily shown up in these first 2 preseason games. So that's going to be a hard spot because he keeps getting open and he keeps catching the ball deep. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. And of course, the big play by Haskins. The most impressive part about it all to me was everything that happened pre-snap. I mean, that's the thing that that's been his struggles as far as getting guys in and out of the huddle, identifying things, switching over protection, all those things that kind of go into it. And it caught my eye immediately as he walked up to the line. You could see him. He scanned the field, and he identified the blitz immediately. You saw him kind of point to the left. And so you knew he knew his guy was coming. He knew the blitzer was coming from the left, and he knew he was going to vacate a space, so there'd be some room to run over there. And then he got him, and he explained to us even more. I didn't catch the cadence that got the safeties to shift a little bit. So with all of those things moving together in parts before the snap, he knew where he was going. He knew what the read was before the snap was. And he knew the blitz was coming also, so he had to stand in there and make the throw. And being able to do all of that was super impressive, probably the most impressive play that we've seen from him yet, just because of everything that he worked out pre-snap. So he's just got to get more consistent on those things and get more consistent on everything. But it's those little flashes that show you the type of guy he can be once he gets it all figured out between the years.
Kareem, do you think there's any possibility that Haskins gets some time running with the ones in the 3rd preseason game, or does that almost all go to Keenum?
I think he might get some. It also depends. Jay, you don't know that Jay's going to just traditionally run out the entire ones for all 3 quarters. He can be funny like that. And also, we don't know exactly who all those guys are. I mean, he wants to get he wants to get Donald Penn and Wes Martin a little bit of work with those ones, just to see how he meshes with all those guys. I talked to Chase Roulier last week about that, that's something that just takes time, knowing what that guy on the left of you is going to do and just being in sync like that. And so that's just a reps kind of thing. And it seems to me like they're seeing that if you're going to get extended time for the ones in preseason game number 3, it seems like there would be some value in getting Penn and Martin some work with that group just to see the cohesion with all those guys. And there's a couple other guys who are on the fringe that who could pop up and get some work with the ones. I mean, we still haven't seen Terry McLaurin. Sounds like he's been, we saw him one play last game. Sounded like he was a little sore from, I think, a hit in practice or something like that. But, you still would like to see him. So I think there's a couple guys that will get some work with what you traditionally think is the ones, and Haskins certainly could be one of those guys.
Let's talk about the defense a little bit. I think we were all impressed with the first unit. I mean, they were marred with penalties there. I mean, the penalties were a joke, a lot of them. But, Payne was making plays, Allen making plays, obviously Monte benefiting from it and returning the interception, 95 yards for a touchdown. That was impressive. Landon Collins flashed. I thought Montez Sweat, even though he was in there for a limited time, he was pressuring the quarterback, even though he didn't get home. I think overall, defensively, this is what we're kind of expecting, and I thought they were about as good as advertised.
Absolutely. That's what I wrote about last night, and it's funny. It was like they were just waiting to be unleashed, really, because, in practices and throughout training camp, they've kind of been reined in a bit, specifically during team drills, because of a lot of the things that we've been talking about. The struggles with that offensive line, guys were just bursting through. I mean, those front three, front four, between Kerrigan and Payne and Ioannidis and Allen, they were just crushing during camp, quite frankly. And if they were going full speed all out every single time, the offense just wasn't getting in great work. They were getting to the quarterback so fast that it wasn't allowing the plays to develop and things like that. So, they were literally kind of a lot of times going, I don't know what the percentage is. I called it 3/4 speed, and even if they got back there in the backfield, they continued to let the play go on just so, they could run the play and get a good rep in. So this was kind of that first time where they were, let off the chains. Those guys were hungry to go out there and hit somebody. I talked to Dunning and Collins about it last night, and Collins said exactly, we were finally unleashed. We've been waiting to hit somebody. We've been ready to go, and that's what I think that's what this defense can be. It's going to be expected to lead the way as this offense figures out its way with a new quarterback and new guys on the line and waiting for some playmakers to emerge out wide. The question starts to become a little bit about depth. That's what started to worry me last night, particularly Tim Settle got banged up a little bit. Caleb Brantley was already out, and so all of a sudden that line got real thin. Same thing at inside linebacker. Cole Holcomb was out yesterday. Sean Hamilton was out yesterday. So all of a sudden you're real thin on that inside. So those were the concerns for me from a group that played really well. All of a sudden I'm just worried a little bit about the depth behind those starters because like I said, once I thought they were fine, with Tim Settle. That's, that 4-guy rotation. You get time to wait for Caleb out. Jordan Brailford, the rookie that they've liked, he's been out also. So all of a sudden you're kind of getting thin up front there. So that's the only concern. But as far as the guys who are out there running around, they were, first quarter, what was it? A pick six and 2 3-and-outs after some questionable penalties and again probably some penalties that were guys were hyped. That Jonathan Allen was playing all the way through the whistle.
Right.
So that's kind of what that was. But as far as performance, you weren't worried about that first team out there.